2024. So now, if you still remember, the paper carries 2 hours with 150 marks. So now, grade 12s, if you still remember, I always tell you that whenever you are writing business studies or even in other subjects, you should always pay much attention towards the information and the instructions given. So now, if you check the set of instructions given, it says this question paper consists of 3 sections and covers 2 main topics. So now we have 3 sections, which is section A, section B, and section C. So now, if you still remember, section A is somehow very compulsory, and section B consists of 3 questions, and you are expected to answer only 2 questions and drop 1 question. So now moving on to section C, it consists of 2 questions, and you are expected to answer 1 question and drop 1 question. So now instruction number 2 reads as follows. Read instructions for each question carefully and take note of what is required. So now note is actually given there where it says that only the first 2 questions selected in section B and the first question selected in section C will be marked. So now I have seen most of you guys, you have the tendency of failing to follow the numbering system used in a question paper. So now if in a question paper, you have from question 1 up until the last question, which is question 6. You are not expected to mix the questions. Where now you find one is actually started with section A. From section A, now you jump onto section C. Then after section C, you start answering section B. No, that one is a total no. So now make sure that you follow the numbering system that is always used in a question paper. Don't come up with your own numbering system, because the moment you come up with your own numbering system, in that regard, it is going to negatively affect you. Okay, right. So now, grade 12s, let's move on to the third. The third instruction. So now the third instruction reads as follows. So the answers, number the answers correctly according to the numbering system used in the question paper. No marks will be awarded for answers that are numbered incorrectly. Like enough, I did explain this. Okay, right. So now moving on to instruction number 4, except where other instructions are given, answers must be written in full sentences. So now no abbreviations are actually expected from you. Okay, right. So now also use the mark allocation and nature of each question to determine the length and detail of an answer. So now number 6 reads as follows. So number 6 says that use the table below as a guide for the mark and time allocation when answering each question. So now if you check section A, in particular question 1, it is allocated 30 marks and you're expected to spend maximum of 20 minutes. So now we also have section B, where it comprises of 3 questions, and remember, you're expected to drop 1 question. So now on each question, you're expected to spend 40 minutes maximum. So now the last one, we have section C, where it contains 2 questions, which is 5 and 6. So in the same manner, you're expected to spend you're expected to spend 30 minutes. So now with 40 marks, and also section B, 40 marks, so which is 80 for section B and 30 for section A. And also lastly for section C, it's 40. All in all, it sums up to 150. Okay, right, grade 12s. So now moving on to the next instructions, it says begin the answer to each question on your page. E.g. question 1, new page, question 2, new page, question 3, new page, or up until the last question of the newspaper. Okay, right. So now instruction number 8, you may use a non-programmable calculator. Then the last instruction says, write neatly and legibly. Okay, right, grade 12s. So now let's move on to the first question. So now the first question says, so now let's check the first question. So now if you check the first question, it says section A, compulsory. Okay, right, grade 12s. Okay, right, grade 12s. So now grade 12s, as I was actually saying that in section A, we are expected to answer 30 marks questions and spend maximum of 20 minutes. So now let's quickly go through our question 1. So now it says, or it reads as follows. Various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions, and choose the answer and write only a letter A to D next to the question numbers. So what I've seen and also what I've actually observed is that some of you guys, you fail to follow this instruction given. You find one select and select what, a letter here or the option. Then from there, after selecting the letter of the option, then you find that they also write words for that. So now that is totally out of order, because the moment you do that, you will negatively be affected. Okay, right. So now if you go through this 1.1, so now 1.1 reads as follows. This act promotes healthy relationship between the employer and the employees in the workplace. So now if you actually check the act that promotes what good rapport between the employer and the employee, or the act that promotes good working relationship, it's a Labor Relation Act. So now our appropriate answer in this regard is going to be C. Okay, right, grade 12s. Now let's move on to the next question. The next question, we have 1.1.2. It reads as follows. The technicians at traders lack the skill on how to install new computer programs. So this is an example of a weakness on its own in SWOT analysis. So now our appropriate answer in this regard is going to be B. Okay, right, grade 12. So now let's move on to the next question, which reads 1.1.3. So logistics operate in the sector as they deliver products to various customers. So in this regard, our appropriate answer is going to be a D. Okay, right, grade 12. So now let's move on to 1.4. So now 1.4 reads as follows. It says that the human resources manager at Sunshine Consultants prepares a job analysis during the dash process. So now in this regard, our appropriate answer given the options is going to be recruitment. So now moving on to next question, we have 1.1.5. So 1.1.5 reads as follows. The dash function ensures that all documentation is kept neatly in an orderly manner and stored in a safe place. So now when we go through the given set of options, our appropriate option or correct option in this regard is going to be C. Okay, right, grade 12. So now let's move on to the next question. So now the next question reads as follows. Complete the following statements by using the words provided in the list below. So now only write the words next to the question number. So you're actually given a typical example on how to follow what the instructions or the guidelines. So now in brackets, you are given 1.2.1 to 1.2.5, meaning you are expected to answer using 1.2.1, 1.2.2 up until 1.2.5 in your answer book. So now if you check inside the grid, inside this grid, we are actually given what the terms or the concepts. So now if you check, we have PISME, we have environment, we have performance, unemployment insurance fund, we have national skill development, we have management, we have economical human resources development, and as well as compensation fund and time related. So now the first question reads as follows. 1.2.1, Stadium Traders uses packaging that is reusable when dealing with challenges posted by the pastel analysis. So now if you check, we use packages that is reusable when dealing with challenges posted by the pastel. In this regard, our answer is going to be economical. Economical. One can actually mistaken this with environmental, because this can actually be more or closer to environmental. But now let's check. This is a trader, and a trader is doing the packaging, because now this packaging, he's packaging the products that is going to sell. So in that regard, it means that money is involved in this regard. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 1.2.2. It says the DES strategy aims at increasing employee participation in lifelong learning. So in this regard, we have a national development, a national skills development. National skills development. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 1.2.3. The DASH is a compulsory benefit to offers short-term financial assistance to workers who are unable to work due to illness. So now this is nothing but unemployment insurance fund. Unemployment insurance fund. Okay, right. So now let's check 1.2.4. Quality dash refers to techniques and tools used to improve the quality of a product. So this is quality management. Quality management. Okay. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 1.2.5. 1.2.5 reads as follows. So now pillar manufacturers pay their workers according to the number of units produced. So this is known as piecemeal salary determination. Piecemeal salary determination. Okay, right, grade 12s. So now let's move on to the next question, which is 1.3. So now this 1.3 normally reads as follows. It says that choose a description from column B that matches a term in column A. Write only the letter A to J next to the question numbers. So 1.3.1 to 1.3.5 in the answer book. So an example is given there where we have 1.3.6 K. So now if you check, we have column A and column B. So now in column A, we have the concepts, 1.3.1 job description, 1.3.2 total quality management system, 1.3.3 National Credit Act, 1.3.4 backward vertical integration. And lastly, we have 1.3.5, which is learnership. So now grade 12s, whenever you answer this type of questions where you are given columns, where you have the descriptions and the concepts. So now you should make sure that you do what? You go through the set of explanations or definitions or characteristics or features given before you do your selection. So now in this regard, if you check 1.3.1, it says a job description. So now job description is nothing but this description of duties and responsibilities of a specific job. So in this regard, our appropriate answer is going to be a G. Okay, right. So now we have 1.3.2 total quality management system. So now total management system focuses on managing key organizational processes. So meaning our appropriate answer in this regard is going to be F. So now let's move on to 1.3.3 where we have National Credit Act. National Credit Act protects businesses against reckless lending and non-paying customers. So in this regard, our appropriate answer is A. So now let's check 1.3.4 where we have backward vertical integration. So now the appropriate answer for this one is going to be H, where businesses take over their suppliers. So now we are going to have H as the appropriate answer. So now the last one, we have learnership in 1.3.4. 1.3.5. So now 1.3.5 is saying that learnership is a training opportunity that can lead to a recognized occupational qualification. So in this regard, our appropriate answer is going to be C. Okay, right, grade 12s. So now let's move on to the next question. So the next question, we have question 2. So now remember, each and every question must commence on a new page. So now let's check the first one, the first question that we have in this regard. So now the first question we have in this regard, which is 2.1, it says list any 4 pillars of the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Act. So now, if you still remember, you should always pay attention to the action verbs, because now most of these action verbs, they normally give us a lead on what we must actually write. So now one of the pillars of this broad-based Black Economic Empowerment, we have managerial control. Managerial control. So the second one, we have skills development. Skills development. And then another one, we have ownership. Ownership. And then another one, we have enterprise and supplier development. We have enterprise and supplier development. So now, and then we also have socio-economic development or social responsibility. We have social responsibility. Okay, right. So now let's check 2.2. So now 2.2 reads as follows. Outline the role of setters in supporting the Skills Development Act. One of the roles of setters is to report to the Director General, also promote and establishes learnerships, and as well as collecting levies and pays out grants as required. So now we're saying that here report to the Director General. Then the second one, promote and establish learnership. Promote and establishes learnership. Because of 6 marks, we are expected to have 3 points. Also, it says collects levies, and pays out grants as required. Okay, right, grade 12s. So now let's move on to 2.3. So now 2.3.1, it reads as follows. Identify the types of defensive strategies applied by bricks manufacturers in each statement below. So now if we check 2.3.1, BM closed certain departments, which resulted in some workers are becoming reluctant. So now this is nothing but destitute or divestment. Okay, so now let's check 2.3.2. So now it reads as follows. They sold some of their assets that are no longer profitable to pay creditors. This is nothing but liquidation. Liquidation. Okay, right, grade 12. Now, surely you guys, you have been following, and I can actually advise you to always make sure that you practice these concepts using a different set of question papers. Don't just prepare a day prior to the test that will be writing. Because now what I actually know and observe is that the moment you engage in or you apply or you put 30% efforts, you are going to get 30% results. But if you apply 80% efforts, you are going to get 80% results. Okay, so now grade 12s, let's move on to the next question where it says explain the advantages of intensive strategies. So now, one of the advantages of intensive strategies is that it increases sales and profitability. And the second one, it does eliminate competitors and dominate market prices. And the last but not the least, it actually regular sales to existing customers may actually increase. So now we're saying that increases sales and profitability. And then the second one, saying that the second one, eliminate competitors and dominate market prices. And then we also saying that regular sales to existing customers may increase. Okay, so now you're saying that the advantages of intensive strategies, one of the advantages, we are saying that increases sales and profitability. The second one, eliminate competitors and dominate market prices. The last but not the least, regular sales to existing customers may increase. Okay, right, grade 12s. So now let's go through the given set of scenario. So now we are moving on to 2.5. So 2.5 reads as follows. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Fantastic Fries. So Fantastic Fries sells tasty fish and chips to various customers in the community. So now this is our first sentence, and then we name it sentence 1. So now the second sentence says, Neo Smooth Fries sells fish and chips at the lower prices to drive FF out of the market. So now this is going to be our sentence number 2. So now sentence number 3 says, some of FF customers buy in bulk to determine the prices in their favor. So now this is going to be sentence 3. So now the question says, identify 2 of Potter's 5 forces model that are applicable to FF. Modify your answer by quoting from the scenario above. So now if you check here, if you refer to sentence 1, we have the power of the buyers and also the second one sentence shows the power of the competitors. But remember, grade 12s, when you answer this, when you don't just write what sentence one, you code it full sentence as it is, as it does appear. So now in sentence one, you're saying that Fantastic Fries sells tasty fish and chips to various customers in the community. So now this one, we have power of buyers. So now we also have what? Power of buyers. So now we also have the second one where it says, Neo Smooth Fries sells fish and chips at lower prices to strive FF out of the market. So now this one is a power of a supplier. Power of, this one should be power of those who are selling the same product as yours, which is power of the competitors. Okay, right, grade 12. So now let's move on to the next question. So now the next question reads as follows. We have what? We have question 2.6. So now 2.6 reads as follows. Explain the rights of employees in terms of the Labor Relations Act 1995, Act 66 of 1995. So in this regard, we are actually having 4 marks. So in these 4 marks, you are expected to give 2 points. So now the first point says employees may actually join a trade union of their choice. So now it is their own choice, and it is also their own rights to join any trade union that they want to join. Also, they embark on legal strikes as a remedy for grievances. And remember, the strikes should always be legal. When you are saying the strike should be legal, we mean that they should be given what? They should be given a document that shows that they are striking, and they shouldn't even damage properties. So now here we are saying that employees may join a trade union of their choice. And then the second one, embark on legal strikes. Embark on legal strikes. Embark on legal strikes. Legal strikes is a remedy. For grievances. So now let's move on to 2.7. 2.7 reads as follows. So now discuss the penalties that businesses may face for non-compliance with the Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Disease Amendment, which is QUEDA. Remember, QUEDA is there to make sure that those who are working for different set of companies, whenever they get whenever they get injured or injured at the workplace, or any accident, they should always be compensated for. So now let's actually check let's check out the penalties. One of the penalties, businesses can be fined for actually refusing to lodge the claim, and also they may be forced to pay any recovery costs required by the compensation fund. So now we are actually saying that businesses can be fined Businesses can be fined for refusing, to lodge a claim. Then the next one, because of 4 marks, they may be forced. They may be forced to pay, any recovery costs required by the compensation fund. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 2.8. 2.8 reads as follows: advise businesses on the strategic management processes. So we have 6 marks. So now in this regard, there should always be review of the vision statement, and also there should be a re-examine mission statement, and also they must take corrective action to ensure goals are met. Take corrective actions to ensure that goals are met. Second one, you're saying that review the vision statement also re-examine mission statement. Okay, right. So now let's move on to question 3. So now question 3 reads as follows. It says that business operations. So now let's check 3.1. So 3.1 says name any 3 aspects that should be included in an employment contract. So now the 3 aspects that should be included in an employment contract is job title, then probation period, personal details of the employees, and also the likes. So now we're saying that in this regard, we are saying we have what? We have job title, then also is saying that you have probation period, then lastly we have lastly we have personal details of the employees. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the next question, which is 3.2. Elaborate on the meaning of placement as a human resource activity. So now if you check on this one, we actually have 4 marks. So now it means that you should give 2 points. So now the first point we have a specific job is assigned to the selected candidates. So now the second one, you can actually say that selected candidates are placed where they will function optimally and add value to the business. So we are saying that the first one says a specific job is assigned to the selected candidates. Then also you are saying that a selected candidate or candidates are placed where they will function optimally, and add value to the business. Okay, right. So now let's check 3.3. So now 3.3 reads as follow. I'll read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. So now TAP manufacturer specializes in the manufacturing of high quality office chairs. So now TM advertised a vacancy for a production manager in newspaper. So now if you check here, we have sentence 1 and also sentence 2. So now let's check 3.3.1. It says identify the method of recruitment used by TM. Modify your answer by quoting from the scenario. So now the fact that they advertise this on a newspaper, this one on its own, it is outside the business premises, which calls for external recruitment. So now let's motivate this. When we motivate, we are going to take what? We are going to take the second sentence, which says motivation. We have sentence 2. So sentence 2, remember you must write it full. You are saying that TM advertised a vacancy for a population manager in a news paper. Remember, I told you that you guys, you shouldn't actually write sentences. You should write those sentences in full, not as 1, as 2. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the next question, which is 3.3.2. So now 3.3.2, it does read as follow. It says explain the advantages of the recruitment method identified in 3.3.1, which is external recruitment. So now one of the advantages is that there's a larger pool of candidates to choose from. Then the second one, new candidates bring new talents into the business. So now we are saying that there is a larger pool of candidates to choose from. Okay, so now the second one says new candidates bring new talents into the business. New candidates bring new talents into the business. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 3.4. So 3.4 reads as follows: advise businesses on the reasons for the termination of an employment contract. So now an employment contract can be terminated when employees are decided to leave and resign voluntarily, and also if there is incapacity to work due to illness and injuries. So we are saying that employees decided to leave and resign voluntarily. Then the next one, we said that incapacity to work. Incapacity to work due to illness. Okay, right. 3.5, it reads as follows: outline the difference between quality control and as well as quality quality assurance. So now if you still remember quality control and quality assurance, so now this quality control, it is only done, the inspection is done on the final product, while under quality assurance the inspection is done during and after the processing of the product. So now we are saying that quality control, so inspection done on the final product, and then quality assurance inspection is done during and after production of goods. Okay, right. So now, grade 12s, in this regard, you should always make sure that these are concepts, you pay much attention on them and understand how they normally operate. Okay, so now let's move on to the last question, which is question 3.6 in question 3. So now 3.6 reads as follows: explain the benefits of a good quality management system. So now, what are the benefits of good quality management system? One of the benefits is that time and resources are used efficiently. Also, vision or mission or business goals may be achieved. Also, it does improve business image as there are less returns or lesser defects. Okay, right? So we're saying that time and resources are used efficiently So we have vision, mission, business goals may be achieved. Then the last one, we are saying that improves business image as there are less defects or returns. Okay, right. So now you're saying that one of the benefits of good quality management system is that time and resources are used efficiently. Vision and mission and business goals may be achieved. Also improves business image as there are less defects or returns. Okay, grade 11. Now let's jump on to question 3.7. So now if you check 3.7, it reads as follow. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. So now if you check this scenario, we are actually being told that the management at Timol Enterprise set unrealistic deadlines that may not be achieved. This is our sentence 1. So now the second one says the business is about to close down because of the mismanagement of funds. So this is our sentence 2. So also it says investors have withdrawn their investments due to decline in profits. So this is what our sentence 3. So now the question says, which is 3.7.1, quote the impact of total quality management if poorly implemented by businesses from the scenario above. So now if we check here, our appropriate answer in this regard is going to be sentence 1. So sentence 1 reads as follows: the management at Timol Enterprise set unrealistic deadlines that may not be achieved. So that is one of the example of management when it's poorly implemented. And also the second sentence, which says the business is about to close down because of the mismanagement of finances. So now grade 12, remember, you write the sentences in full. You don't write S1 and S2. Kindly write those sentences in full. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the next question, which is 3.7.2. Explain any other impact of TQM if poorly implemented by businesses. So now in this regard, we are saying that if TQM is poorly implemented by different set of businesses, they are going to have high staff turnover because of poor skills development. And also there's actually going to be a decline in production or productivity because of stoppages. So now you're saying that we are going to have high staff turnover, because of poor skills development. So now the next one, we said that decline in productivity because of a stop page. Because of a stop pages. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question, which is 3.8. So now 3.8 reads as follows: advise large businesses on the advantages of adequate financing capacity as TQM element. So now adequate finance capacity as one of the TQ elements specifies that it can actually can afford product research or market researchers so that they can gather needed information, and also can afford to purchase quality raw materials and equipment. So now we are saying that it can actually afford product research or market researches to gather information, and also can afford to purchase quality raw materials and equipment. Okay, right? Saying that can afford to purchase, quality raw materials and equipment. Then the second one, can afford product research, or market researches, market researchers to gather information. So we are saying that can afford to purchase quality raw materials and equipment, and also can afford product research or market researchers can actually gather needed information. Okay, thank you very much, grade 12s. Let's move on to the last question in section section B. So now this section B, which is in question 4. So now in particular, we are going to look at question 4.1, where it says, name any 4 provisions of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. And now one of the provisions is overtime, hours of work, leave, as well as public holidays. So we are saying that here we have what? We have hours of work, we have leaves, then we also have public holidays, and then lastly we have overtime. Okay, right. So now let's check 4.2. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Ammonia trading enterprise sells a variety of products to different outlets. So now this is our sentence 1. So now it also says ATE always receives stock late from Freddie as a wholesaler. So this is going to be our sentence 2. And the last one reads as follows: AT is experiencing a decline in sales due to unproductive employees. So now this is going to be our sentence 3. So now the question reads as follows: quote 2 challenges for AT from the scenario above. So now also if you check 4.2.2, it says classify the challenges according to relevant business environments, and also state the extent of control over each and every business environment. So now if we check the first word, we check the first sentence. It says that Amuje Trading Enterprise sells a variety of products to different outlets. So now also the second sentence says AT always receives stock late from Freddie wholesalers. So it means Freddie wholesalers in this regard is the supplier, and this falls under market environment. So now here we have the challenge as sentence 2. So now here we have what? We have a market. But remember, grade 12, you don't write sentence S2. You write the whole sentence exactly the way it does appear. So now here, this business have semi control. So now you also have the last sentence, which is sentence 3. And also, you should always bear in mind that whenever you're answering this particular type of question, you write the full sentence the way it does appear in a scenario. Don't shorten it, don't remove, don't add. So now if you check it, it says AT is experiencing a decline in sales due to unproductive employees. So now this is going to be micro environment. And if you still remember, under micro environment, business are having full control. Why are they having full control? Because most of these components are components that are found inside the business premises, unlike other environments with the likes of a macro, where most of them are the components that are found outside the business premises. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the next question, grade 12. So now the next question that we move on to is 4.3. So now 4.3 reads as follows: discuss the advantages of the Employment Equity Act on businesses. So now if you check this Employment Equity Act, it promotes equal opportunities and fair treatment in the workplace. And also, it does encourage consultation between employer and the employees. And also, it does impact positively on Black economic employment ratings for businesses. So, okay, right. So now we are saying that it impacts positively, on Black economic empowerment ratings, Black economic empowerment ratings for business. Okay, next one. It said that promotes equal opportunities and fair treatment in the workplace. Fair treatment in the workplace. So now also encourages consultation between employees and employers. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 4.4. Advise businesses on the steps in strategy evaluation. So now steps on this strategy evaluation, you must actually decide on the desired outcome. Also set specific dates for control and follow up. We are saying that decide on the desired outcome, and also we are saying that set specific dates for control, and follow up. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the next question, which is question 4.5. So now 4.5 reads as follows. Name any 4 sources of internal recruitment. So now the sources of internal recruitment, we have the likes of a word of mouth. We also have internal bulletins. We also have internal emails. We also have websites to staff. Okay, so we're saying that word of mouth, we also have internal bulletins, then we have internal emails, then lastly we have websites to staff. Okay, so now let's move on to 4.6. So now if you check 4.6, it reads as follow. Naido, it says now Naido Construction. So Navo Construction has appointed Litabo as their new truck driver. So the management of NC prepared an induction program for Litabo. So now let me actually do this. We have sentence 1. So now here we have sentence 2. So now the program included a tour in the premises. So now this is sentence 3. So now we have also the following. They ensured that Litabo settles in quickly and works effectively. So this is going to be sentence 4. So now the last sentence says information about their businesses, products also informed the part of the program. So now we have what we have sentence 5. So now it says that quote 2 aspects of the induction program from the scenario above. So now our aspects that we have here in this regard, we have the first sentence where it says the program included a tour of the premises. So now we are saying that this is going to be sentence 3, but remember you write it in full where you are saying that this is going to be a tour included in the business. So now also I was saying that another one, it's the information about their business products also form part of the program. So now also it means that sentence 5 should also be included. So remember grade 12s, you don't write S3, you don't write S5, but you write full sentences. So now here you are going to write this sentence as it is. You don't subtract anything, you don't add anything. So now lastly, you are also supposed to write this sentence 5 exactly the way it is, without adding, without subtracting. Why should you write the sentence exactly the way it does appear? It is because of this word code. Remember grade 12, I told you that you should always make sure that you understand the expectation of each and every action verb, because the moment you fail to understand or interpret the action verb, then you are going to face some sort of difficulties or some sort of challenges. Okay, right. So now moving on to question 4.6.2, it reads as follows. Explain other aspects that must be included in the induction process. So now other aspect that should be included is overview of the business and also safety regulations and rules. So now you're saying that here it should be what? Overview of the business. And also, we have safety regulations. Safety regulations and rules. Okay, right. So now let's move on to question 4.7. 4.7 reads as follows: discuss the quality indicators of the purchasing function. So now one of the quality indicators of the purchasing function is to buy raw material in bulk at lower prices, and also have a great understanding of supply chain management. So now you're saying that they should do what? You're saying that they should actually buy raw material, in bulks at lower prices, and also have a great understanding of supply chain management. Okay, right? So now let's move on to the last question in question 4, where it reads as follows: 4.8, advise the businesses on the role of quality cycles as part of the continuous improvement to processes and systems. So now reduce the cost of redundancy in the long run, also increase employees' motivation, as well as reduce costs in the long run. Okay, right. So we are saying that reduce costs of redundancy in the long run, and also increase employees' motivation or morale. Employees' morale or motivation. Okay. The last one, reduce costs in the long run. Okay, right, grade 12s. So now let's move on to section C. Okay, right. So now, grade 12s, whenever you are answering this section C, I always tell you that these bullets already are the guidelines on what you must do. So now if you check here, these guidelines are the ones that are going to build your body. But you shouldn't write a word body. You just write this as subheadings on your body. So now what you must do in this regard, you should only introduce what is subheading for introduction. And also you must also introduce a subheading for conclusion. Remember, under introduction, you define a concept under study. So now under conclusion, you conclude writing your own opinion. And then also when you write your own opinion, make sure that you avoid repetition of repetition of points. So now in this regard, you must avoid repeating points time and again. Okay, right. So now let's check here. You are saying question 5 reads as follows: business environment legislation. Businesses are required to have a sound knowledge of the Consumer Protection Act, 2008 Act 68 of 2008. They must also observe consumers' rights as as outlined in Consumer Protection Act. So now also the implementation of this act may have direct impact on business operations. Hence, businesses must know how to comply with the act. Okay, right. So now in this regard, you are going to define Consumer Protection Act. Remember, Consumer Protection Act, we refer to a law or a rule or regulation that protects the rights of each and every consumer in the market. The moment as a consumer you are in the market to buy your goods and services, or you are in the market to do window shopping. So now this act protects you. So now that's the definition that you should actually write. So now let's check the purpose of this act. Why do we have this act? What is this act aiming at? So now this act, in most cases, it is aiming at improving the level of rights at the workplace, because it has been noted that most of the consumers or most of the buyers are disadvantaged whenever they get to the market, because now you find that the tellers or the sellers, a different set of markets, they don't treat these buyers or consumers in a rightful manner. Okay, right. So now also we must check the rights of consumers in the workplace. I mean, in the marketplace. Okay, right. As a consumer at the marketplace, you have a right. You have a right of buying each and every product of a higher quality. So now also you have a right to return the product if you are not happy with that particular product that you actually bought. And also you have a right for each and every seller in that particular market to be honest to you. And also you have a right to be treated with respect and the likes. Okay, right. And also let's check the impact of Consumer Protection Act on businesses. How is this Consumer Protection Act going to affect a different set of businesses? Remember, the moment we talk of this word impact, you are actually expected to come up with the advantages as well as the disadvantages. So it means that in this regard, you are going to take into account the positive impact as well as the negative impact. So now, if consumer are always protected at the workplace, I mean, they are protected at the marketplace, it means that they are going to be willing to come to your business to buy on daily basis. They can even go out there and market your business because of the way you care for them. So if as a business, there's that customer care where you are actually respecting the rights of the buyers, they can even market on your behalf. Just a word of mouth where people will be saying good things about your business. And in that regard, it means that the business image and the business reputation is going to be enhanced, or it is going to be improved. Okay, right. So now let's check the last one, where it says recommend ways in which businesses can comply with the Consumer Protection Act. So now this act, they are actually being revised on yearly basis. So now businesses, in order for businesses to comply with this act, they should make sure that they respect whatsoever the guidelines that are given in a handout for this particular act. Okay, right, grade 12. So as I did say that under conclusion, you are expected to give your own opinion. But when you are giving your own opinion, try by all means to avoid repetition of points, because the moment you don't avoid repetition of points, in that regard, you are going to lose points unnecessarily. And also remember, in conclusion, you don't get 1 mark. It's either you get 2 marks or you go home with 0. So now the marks allocation under introduction, you have 2 marks. So now also under conclusion, you are going to have 2 marks allocated for conclusion. Okay, right, grade 12. So now let's move on to the last question of the paper, which is question 6. So now question 6 reads as follows: business operation or human resource function. Okay, right. I always appreciate that human resource function, the major mandate of this human resource function is to deal with the hiring of staff and the firing of staff. Those are the major mandate of this human resource function. Okay, right. So now, Kritovs, let's check the set of scenario given. It says that businesses follow the correct selection procedure to appoint suitable candidates to fill the vacant positions. So they also ensure that interviewer understands his or her own role before conducting interviews. Others offer fringe benefits as part of their remuneration package. So additionally, they have a sound knowledge of the legal requirements of an employment contract. So now in this regard, remember I told you that these bullets, they compromise of a body. So now make sure that you don't write a word body in your body whenever you're writing the essay under business studies, but make sure that you write these bullets as your subheadings. So now in this regard, it means that here you are going to introduce an introduction of 2 marks. So now also you are going to introduce a conclusion of 2 marks. So now if you check here, remember I said that under here you just define what a term or a concept under study. So in this regard, you are going to define HR. So now here under conclusion, you write your own your own view or your own opinion. Okay, right. As I did say before, that when we talk of a human resource function, human resource function will refer to a department in the business that deals with hiring of new staff and that deals with firing of staff. Okay, right. So now let's check the first bullet. It says outline the selection procedure as a human resource activity. Guys, if you still remember, whenever they say a job space at any particular institution or at any particular organization, you are expected to do what? You are expected to submit your CV. So now after the submission of the CV, that's where now the business is going to be in the position to do what? To do the screening. They are going to screen to check, are you qualifying according to the job specification? Because in most cases, job specification is given out, but you find that people who don't qualify, they just submit their CVs for consideration. So now selection takes place there. So now whenever you see the job description says that in this particular post, we need a female, but you find that there are those males who are applying for that particular post, then the screen is going to be done there. Then after the screen is actually been done, then they'll go through the CVs of those that have actually applied. Then they will select the best candidate that fit the position and under consideration. Okay, right. So now moving on to the next bullet, explain the role of the interviewer before the interview. So now as the interviewer, remember you are one of the panels that is going to ask questions to whosoever that is seeking for a new employment. So now in this regard, as the employer, as the interviewer, you are expected before you can actually administer the interview to draft the questions that you are going to ask. And also you must identify which venue are you going to use. And also you must check the time of the interviews and the likes. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the next bullet where we are going to check the fringe benefits. Discuss the impact of fringe benefits. So now when you talk of these fringe benefits, these are the benefits that you actually get, or the remuneration that you actually get, or the compensation that you actually get after actually working for a company for a certain time period. So now one of the fringe benefits is medical aid. So now medical aid can actually help employees to easily go to different doctors whenever they are not feeling well. Okay. Also, one of the fringe benefits can be company car. So now, as an employee, sometimes a company can actually give you a car that to say that, okay, use this car as a benefit because now you struggle with a transport to come to work. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the last bullet. So now the last bullet says advise businesses on the legal requirements of employment contract. What are the legal requirements of the employment contract? Remember, when we talk of employment contract, we talk of a document that is actually written and signed by the employer and the employee. And this document normally specifies the time frame that an employee is going to work for this particular organization. Okay, right, grade 12. So now let's check the conclusion. So now when we check the conclusion, remember we said that you should always write your own words. The moment you fail to write your own words, then in that regard, you are going to score low marks. And also, if you don't write your own words, make sure that you avoid repetition of points from the body that you have actually done, also from the introduction. So now, grade 12s, at this juncture, I would love to say thank you very much. You guys don't stop revising business studies. You see, now you are already done with the prelims, with prelims paper 1, but you are not yet done with a final examination for business studies paper 1, grade 12. So I advise you to use different resources. Don't rely on the district resources. You can only use those resources whenever you are expected to answer questions. Remember, the expectation is to give back the notes that you have been given. But for your own broader knowledge, make sure that you visit different set of the resources. So at this point, I would like to say thank you very much. Hopefully you